There's this idea floating around the internet that your 20s are supposed to be this confusing, slow, figure it out eventually phase of life. And part of that's true. Your 20s are messy, they're chaotic, you're figuring out who you are, what you're capable of, and what direction your life is actually going to move in. But somewhere along that message got twisted into something else. It turned into this weird excuse people use to stay comfortable. Like they'll say things like, it's okay, everyone's lost in their 20s. Don't worry about success yet. And honestly, that is just terrible advice. Because yes, your 20s are supposed to be hard, but they're supposed to be hard because you're pushing yourself, not because you're drifting. There's a massive difference between struggling because you're building something and struggling because you're wasting time. Like there's a difference between those two things. Your 20s are the one decade of your life where you could take ridiculous risks. You have energy, you have time, you have literally nothing to lose. But most people are not using that window. They drift, they scroll, they wait for life to somehow start later. Meanwhile, the clock is moving whether you use the time or not. Okay, reality check, folks. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Some people your age are already building things. Someone your age started a company, myself included. I'm 23 years old. I run a multi-million-dollar company. Someone your age bought property. That includes me. I bought my first home at the age of 20. And I'm not saying that I'm better than you. I'm just letting you know that I am using my time productively to go after my goals. Maybe that's not your goal. Maybe you don't care to own a home. But for me, that's important, and I'm going to chase that goal. And I know that's true also because I've lived it. I graduated from a very prestigious university in 2.5 years from one of the most difficult programs that they offer. And not because I'm some genius, but because I was just obsessed with moving forward. While most people were stretching school into 4 years, oh, college is the best time of my life, I was asking a different question. How fast can I get through this and start building something real? Because to me, the degree it was a joke. I'm not even going to lie, it was a joke. I knew that it was never going to do anything for me, but I did it to make my mom proud and to make my mom happy because it was her dream to see both of her sons graduate from university. I already had $1 million business. It is now a multi-million-dollar enterprise. But I was running a full-time business while being in college. Okay, so I feel like I do have a little bit, an ounce of credibility on this topic. But at that same time, like I mentioned, I was building this business, and now it's just worth millions. But throughout the entire journey, I worked my butt off. It's not because everything just magically worked itself out. I just spent years pushing myself when most people were comfortable coasting. And again, I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying it because people need to hear the other side of the conversation from the operators, from the people who are actually doing stuff. I'm trying to give you guys the W info, okay? The internet loves to comfort people. It loves to say that, everything's fine. Channels that are like that, I hate those channels because they try to make you feel better. Like if your situation is shit, you need to work hard to change that because you're not happy. And we need to do something about that. And that's what this channel is all about. So if you're watching, if you haven't clicked off yet, make sure to subscribe because I promise you my videos, they will change your life. Circling back, the internet loves to say, people love to say that you have plenty of time. And yeah, obviously you have time if you're in your 20s, but time only helps you if you use it. If you spend your early 20s drifting, if you're partying every weekend, scrolling your phone 12 hours a day, maybe not 12, 5 hours a day, let's say, and you're avoiding difficult work, those years disappear faster than you think. Suddenly, you're 27, you're 28, wondering where did the momentum go? Meanwhile, the people who were grinding during those same years have already built something. They built skills, they built businesses, they built discipline, and momentum. And look, momentum is everything. Once you get momentum in life, everything starts compounding. Okay? You ever heard of motion in the ocean? You got to get some motion. Your skills will improve faster, your opportunities grow, your network expands, and most importantly, your confidence increases, which is it's a beautiful thing because you now know that you could do it because you've already done it. But that compounding will only happen if you start early. Your 20s are the perfect time to start because failure doesn't really hurt you that much yet because nobody in their 20s is doing anything meaningful anyways. Everybody's just out partying all weekends. You could try things, start projects, build ideas, launch businesses, create content. You could do whatever you want to do. And look, most of it is probably going to fail, but that's normal. Failure is a part of the process. Every failure teaches you something. Every project builds experience, and every attempt sharpens your instincts. And eventually, something will start working. The problem is most people never reach that stage because they just never start. Or they start something and then quit the moment it doesn't go their way. You want results before you've earned them. These people want momentum without putting in the reps. But life doesn't work that way. It only rewards hard work. The people who end up doing interesting things in life usually have one thing in common. They just wanted it more. They were willing to stay up later, work longer, pushing through frustration, and going when the progress was slow. Look, it's 4:15 in the morning right now, as I'm recording this live right now, and I'm still here chasing my dreams because having this channel is meaningful to me. Okay, in real time, 4:15. It is Monday morning. I'm out here making videos. I'm building something meaningful, and it's supposed to be difficult. Because if it were easy, everyone would do it. Your 20s aren't supposed to feel comfortable. They're supposed to feel intense. That's the whole point. They're supposed to feel like you're pushing yourself into situations where you're not fully ready yet. Do I know what I'm doing with this channel? Absolutely not. Did I know what I was doing with my business when I started? Absolutely not. But that's how the growth happens, is when you just keep trying things. You are taking on responsibilities that you're not completely prepared for. You figure things out along the way. You make the mistakes, but then you get better. But none of that happens if your life is built around avoiding difficulty. And it's like we all know it, but do we? Do we? Because I'm having to make a video on this topic right now. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is thinking hustle means destroying your life. They picture hustling as working nonstop, burning out, hating everything. That's not what I'm talking about. Hustle is all about urgency. It's about realizing that the years you're living right now are the most flexible years you're ever going to have. You could experiment, you could fail, you could start over, but that window will not stay open forever because eventually responsibilities stack up, bills increase, families start. This is a big one. Families start in the future, and the risk becomes harder, which is why your 20s are the time to move, okay? It's the time to build, the time to chase the things that excite you, not casually, not slowly, but aggressively. The effort that you invest now will compound for decades. Believe me, I have already seen it. I have seen the fruits of my hard labor, and I am promising you that it is worth it. Take it from the guy who became a millionaire at the age of 20. I went all in with this shit, and I love my life. Here's the ironic part. The people who work the hardest in their 20s often end up with the most freedom later. We have no time now because we have the sense of urgency, but then our life becomes so much better because the skills, businesses, and opportunities that we built early, they start working for us over time. While everyone else is just starting to figure things out, people like me, we already have that momentum. And I want you guys to be in the same position because I promise you, this is the side that you want to be on. This is the winning side. They have leverage. They have options. So yeah, your 20s are supposed to be hard. Okay? But again, not because life is unfair. They're hard because they're the decade where you build the foundation for everything that comes after. And nobody's talking about that. But that's what the 20s are actually for. Take it from the guy who's 23. I already got this shit figured out. If you agree with what I'm saying, make sure to drop me a subscribe so I know that you're thinking the same, or maybe leave me a comment, go do the algorithm boosting activities. But ultimately, the people who understand this early on, those are the people that eventually create lives that most people only dream about. And I'm a good example of this. I bought my first house at 20. My friend is 24 and he is renting an apartment with his girlfriend. Like, he can't even afford to rent the apartment by himself. He needs his girlfriend to chip in 50-50. And I just never wanted to be in that position. Like, I'm a homeowner early, and I see what's happening with, the price of real estate and how everything is just getting so crazy expensive. Inflation is getting out of hand. So right now I'm trying to focus on me. I'm trying to make a lot of money at a young age so it's easier in my future. I'm an immigrant. My parents came, I was actually born in Europe, but we came to America looking for better opportunity. And maybe that's just like the immigrant in me, maybe, but I have this sense of urgency. And I encourage you guys, if you are in your 20s, to have that same sense of urgency, because the 20s are just so foundational. It's like a building block, and then it just sets you up for the rest of your life if you do it accordingly. Hopefully, you guys learned something. It's enough of my rant right here. Again, if you found any use in this video, feel free to check out some of the other videos. We go a lot on these types of topics. And with that, we will catch you guys on the next one.